I am going to do the work. And so I get my worksheet and I sit down and I'm like, nothing is bothering me. Like I can't, and I made it where, I get up and I do my meditation. I have like a little schedule for myself, 30 minutes of the Work of Byron Katie, and I'll sit there and I'll get my worksheet and literally nothing comes to mind, or I try to get something and it's like, well, that's just stupid. Of course you're not, of course you don't need to work on that because you're an idiot. So, and I really have struggled with that. So what is some advice you have about, I know it feels so good when I do it, and I don't know, maybe that's the resistance. Maybe that's where I can start with the questioning, but it seems I have a hard time actually pinpointing. I go all day losing my shit with my kids and flicking off the people in the car, but when I sit down to do the work, none of that comes to mind. I don't know if it's just my fear of getting deep, or I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it's a very common experience as well, and so um, there can be several aspects to this, but it's probably in some ways it's one of the main reasons people don't do the work is because they think that basically they're thinking they have to do the work on something really deep and important. It has to be really charged, and it has to be they have to be feeling really angry, or the situation has to be really clear. Like you can end up waiting, or basically it passes really quickly. Like I get angry at somebody and then it passed and I dealt with it and I'm done with it. I moved on, and I don't think, oh, I could do the work on that. I'm like, oh no, I'm done with that. But if you want to, you can go back to that situation that you're done with, and still look at the situation, write a judge your neighbor worksheet, which is one of the ways we identify these stressful thoughts. Just write some of those stressful thoughts down about that situation and go back there to the place where you were when you got triggered. So it's like moving back in time and then re-experiencing it, and then seeing if you can work through it at that point, because the mind's really good at just dealing with stuff and pushing it aside and moving on. And then what happens is you come into a similar situation next week and it reacts the same way because it hasn't really evolved that much, and it just compartmentalizes that and moves on. So then life is sort of like this yo-yo up and down of like, oh yeah, I got triggered, oh no, I'm over it, and then I got triggered again, over it. The work is like saying, okay, let's go back to the moment when you got triggered and see if there's anything that you could learn from that moment. Is there anything you could see in that moment? And when you slow down and do that, in my experience, I often it's like that whole reactive experience starts to get like it loses its basis. I start not having a reason to react that way, and then I don't have to remember the results or anything from my work. I just forget what work I did. I go back into life, and ironically, or not ironically, I guess just as it were, a different situation will come up that's similar, and sometimes I just don't even react to it, or I react much less to it. And so it's changing the way I'm seeing the situation. And so I guess I'm sort of dancing around your question a little bit here, but the idea is, if I don't think I have anything to work, that may be fine. That would just be okay. I don't do the work. But if I really want to do this work, if I sit and just find even the smallest rub, that can be sometimes the most enjoyable kind of work to do. I've done work on tiny, tiny situations. I don't have a desperation to get out of that because there's not much stress there anyway. But what I find when I explore them is, I guess, like I often find something that is unexpected and something that actually has crossover to a lot of different areas of my life. I think it's really minor, but oh my God, it's not minor.